Welcome back, everyone. I'm Greg Lochner here for Auto Body Training Solutions. Today we're going to talk about hammers and dollies, choosing the right equipment, using them properly. So what we're going to get started off with today, a couple hammers here, dinging hammer and a pick hammer. You're probably going to use these more than any other thing in your toolbox. The thing to keep in mind when choosing hammers and dollies is, besides they want to match the contour of the metal, you also want to match the weight of them. Like this truck fender here is pretty heavy material, so you're going to use something, either a heavier hammer, heavier dolly, as opposed to this little import fender here that's pretty much paper thin, so you're going to use lighter tools. So keep that in mind. But a couple hammers we've got here. The pick hammer, there's different lengths. And besides the length of them, they're different weights, so they're going to do different things. This is going to put a little more pressure on the metal than this one here. So keep that in mind. A longer pick here, this will reach places like if you're working on a roof panel where you can go in through the door opening, reach up there from inside. Got a real long reach pick hammer here. You can get inside a fender, a quarter panel. A little bit longer, reach inside, and it's not a real big head, so it takes a little bit less room to throw it in there. Here's a balanced dinging hammer. Now this here works real good. It's got a nice feel to it, and it's got two different size heads, but there's a lot of weight to it. But you can do light work, heavy work with this. It takes a little getting used to. This one doesn't get used quite as often as some of my other ones, but it's real handy. Now, one hammer I want to talk about that's probably the most misunderstood hammer out there is the door skin hammer. And I've seen too many guys, they go to put a door skin on a car and the first thing they do is grab this hammer. There's no reason you use this hammer really anymore, because what this is made for, and doors aren't built this way anymore. The old days, say this is a cross section of a door, looking at the end of it. Those skins used to wrap all the way around, and they were kind of tucked in underneath the door shell. You can't get a regular hammer in here to flatten that edge out without hitting the door shell. So this is basically a modified cross peen on one side, and it's rounded. This side here has got a little bit of offset. This hammer, you can come in here and you can hit that flange and flatten it out. If you're going to use this on your whole skin opening on your front and rear, all you're going to be doing is putting a bunch of dings in there. So there's really no reason to use that anymore unless you've got a contour that you've got a line you got to put in, or maybe inside a window opening where some of the door frames will wrap inside there. Sometimes this will get it. But on a door skin, use a flat hammer and a flat dolly. Don't be using these anymore. Now, talking about dollies, several kinds here. This is a toe dolly, two toe dollies here. One is heavier than the other, and they're both going to do different things, give you different results. We got a heel dolly. It looks like the heel of a shoe or a boot. This is a railroad dolly or a combination dolly. It kind of resembles a railroad rail. And here's just a weird dolly I've had in my collection for years. I don't even know what you call it, but it's heavy. It'll back up a lot of stuff, hold a panel out where you can actually get it behind it and you can bump stuff out without putting kinks in it. So choose the right dolly for what the contour of the metal. Now back to these toe dollies here. One's heavy, one's thinner, a little bit lighter. They're going to do different things. This is going to move the metal more. Even though the dolly is on the outside of your dent, you get on the inside and you hit that, say you want to bump something with a pick hammer, get out a small dent, this could actually be doing too much damage on a thin fender panel like on this import here. It'll actually make that metal come out a little bit farther than you want, where a light dolly isn't going to do so much damage. It's going to support it, but it's not going to allow it to stretch as much. So keep these in mind, keep these ideas in mind, choose the tools correctly. Another thing I like using, when you're reaching inside a fender, maybe a door or something, and you don't have enough room to get a hammer, or even this small one here, I've just got a basic old cold chisel, and you can reach inside using the dolly on the outside, and you can get in there and you can bump stuff out with that, and you'll be surprised how good it'll do. It's got some weight to it, but be careful using it. Use it where you can get it in, where you can't get anything else, because it's not actually made for being a hammer, but it will work. One other tip that I can't stress enough: use the right hammer for the right project. If you're chiseling off a piece of metal off of something, don't grab a body hammer and use that. Use a ball peen hammer. You wouldn't use a body hammer to drive roofing nails in on your house, so don't use a claw hammer or a ball peen hammer doing body work. Match the tool for the job that you've got in front of you. A lot of these hammers, these things here, most of these are antiques. I've been in the business so long, I've collected some used. Most of them are new from years ago. And another tip is buy the best hand tools you can afford. I've seen some of the guys get started out with some of these import hammer and dolly sets. Everybody sells them. They're pretty cheap, but they're pretty crude. They're not balanced. And if you're just starting out and don't know how to use them, you're kind of handicapping yourself by using an inferior tool. So most of these are expensive. There might be $40, $50 a hammer, $40, $50 for a dolly, but they're going to make it a lot easier to learn to straighten sheet metal when you have the proper tool. So keep that in mind. I know they're expensive, but like everything else, buy them a little at a time as you need them, and try and avoid using those cheap import knockoffs. You're just not going to get a quality job with them. You look at the casting and the polishing on these, they're all pretty well precision, they're balanced good, they feel good, and if it feels good, it's going to give you a better job. So when you're straightening a piece of sheet metal, you grab a tool that's been proven, been around for literally decades, it's going to work better for you. So next time, we're going to actually do some hands-on straightening some sheet metal. So until then, thanks for watching.